The day doesn't stop at 5. The day stops when the work is done.
The key to success is marketing yourself. I'm telling you, life is about sales and marketing. People buy off of people they like. People buy off of people they trust.
You can't be the person that works 8 to 5. You have to be the person that goes the extra mile. You have to be the individual that works harder than everybody else.
Anybody who gets a straight A all the time is kind of boring. Every once in a while you want to get a B.
It's okay to get a C.
Once we stop learning, we're going to die.
The highest job offer you get may definitely be the one you do not want to take. Because if you don't retire and move to the lake and sit in the recliner all day, I'm not interested in that type of retirement. No one is going to pay top dollar for somebody that gives 100%.
You have to make sure that you're always on top of the game.
You have to excel. You got to give 150%, and you have to make it happen.
I can make as much as I want. My set goal is to write $2 million a year.
Welcome you all to the first podcast. Today I have here two great guests today, Jeff Smith and Tom Didier. You both have been very highly paid executives. You both have a lot of experience in companies, General Motors, Corporate America, US Foods, your family's company. You both have a lot of experience, so it's great to have you all. Thanks for coming, first of all.
You're welcome. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely, glad to be here.
You surely can help all the students or the young people that are watching us today. So, as I mentioned before, you both have a lot of experience in the corporate world, but I want to know what have been your motivations and decisions that you both have made to get to the point where you are right now. You know, you both are successful, but what have been your motivations and decisions that you both have made?
I'll go first. I think the key to success is marketing yourself. So I think, as you can well see it, it's pretty obvious that look at a person like Paul McCartney from the Beatles. So there was a constant marketing ploy involved in his career because he was a singer and he was very talented. He utilized his talents and then accentuated off of them and then marketed himself. And that's, it's kind of like Elvis Presley. You can use him also. I'm using musical people because I'm a singer, but you can do it with any kind of fabric of being, of what you're trying to be or what your career is. If you don't market your name and market yourself, you're never going to be successful because people will, like I'm in sales, people buy off of people they like. People buy off of people they trust. So if you don't build a good marketing scheme around yourself, then people aren't going to buy off you. So I'm a pretty good singer. As Professor Jeffrey will tell you, I've sang at weddings, funerals, done theater, you name it. And the thing is I marketed myself around my singing. So, and people don't, I'm not saying this to brag, but people, I can't go anywhere without people knowing that that's what I do. So, and then there's that avenue of trust, of how they perceive you. And then they start talking to you about the other things, which is what I do in sales. With I sell meat now, but I was selling a full plethora of food before. I sold everything. So I think that's the biggest key to it. I think with the young people, you know, you're going to college, you're sitting in the desk, you're learning what you need to learn, but to really put yourself out in the market stream, you know, you're gonna take some bumps and bruises. I made some mistakes along the way, and it's good to make mistakes because you can correct yourself. And I think that's a really, really important thing. Anybody who gets a straight A all the time is kind of boring. Every once in a while you want to get a B so you can say to yourself, what did I do wrong? Well, I got a lot of B's. I wasn't an A student. I never would be. I can never tell you that I was ever an A student. But I was always the one that wanted to strive to be better. And I think that because of my sales job and being on straight commission on top of it was huge, because then it forced you to go sell. It forced you to put yourself into uncomfortable situations, and I think that makes a huge difference. You can't just sit on the sidelines. You got to put yourself in at 110%.
That's a great answer. And one follow-up question. What wakes you up in the morning, Tom?
Oh, you like this one, don't you? Because I talked about it. My alarm clock in my body. It's to tell me to get up and go do my job. And whatever it might be, write your things down, where you want to go, what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. If you don't have any set goals for a day, so right now I'm working for my sister. My set goal is to write $2 million a year. So what's $2 million a year? It's $40,000 a week times 52 weeks, right? A little over $2 million.
Yeah.
So you have to have some type of a goal. Like, if you don't set a goal, you're never going to be able to achieve it. It's kind of like Kobe Bryant, when he was playing for the Lakers. He always had this work ethic that was just uncanny. He was the first one to get there and the last one to leave. And the thing is that's what you do. It's not always about being the one at the work or at the job or whatever. It's about the last one to leave for whatever project you're working on. So if I'm at a restaurant at 6 o'clock talking to a client, while the meat cutters are there at 6 a.m., I might not be at the office at 6 a.m. I might not get there till 9 a.m., but I'm still working until 6 a.m. when they're done at 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you have to work around the whatever schedules that you see fit. And I think that you have to make yourself flexible. It is very important in the world today to be extremely flexible with your time and answer to the people when they call you. It's so important. That's why the alarm clock is so important.
Go ahead, Jeff. So the previous question was, what wakes you up in the morning?
Well, I think what Tom said is real important, is that you do have to sell yourself, and in doing so, you really are using your intuitive emotional skills, and that's very important. But in addition to that part of the whole success question, and what really makes a difference is you can't be the person that works 8 to 5 or does the job and gives 100%. You have to be the person that goes the extra mile. You have to be the individual that works harder than everybody else, or just like an athlete that excels. They don't get there by showing up for practice late. If the organization starts at 7, they get there at 6. As Tom mentioned, if the day doesn't stop at 5, the day stops when the work is done, and the work is not done at 5 p.m. And that's what you got to do to stand out. Yeah, and you have to want to do it. It's just not something that you force yourself to do because somebody told you to do it. It's got to be heartfelt. It's got to be coming from inside you. You have to be driven.
That's definitely an answer that a hard working person would say. That's an incredible answer. Now, with respect to students, who are the people who are watching us, for those people who may be a little bit lost or perhaps don't have a clear life purpose, how would you all advise him to find his talent?
I think what you have to do in college and in that age of 18 to 22 is an ideal time to work through that, is to find out really what you're good at and what you enjoy doing. And that's what you want to pursue. Those things that you find that you're talented at. Some people are good at math. Some people are excel at writing. The things that you're good at, focus on those skill sets and develop those skill sets, and do the other. But the ones that you enjoy and you find that you're really good at, that's what you want to go after. And you essentially want to find and identify your passion, and you want to pursue your passion. And it's okay to change your path. During those years, that's the ideal time. Many people change their career paths and their directions and their majors, and they search for what they want to do. The important thing is that you come out and and you pursue what you really want to be doing and what your passion is, and what you're good at, and the money will follow. If you're looking at job offers, the highest job offer you get may definitely be the one you do not want to take, because it may not be the one where your heart's really at. the money will take care of itself. Pursue your passion.
Yeah, that's definitely something to take into account because, like you said, I don't think money is the goal. Money is just a consequence of, doing your job and your tasks right. What about you? What do you think about this question?
Well, when you're in sales like I am, you can make as much as you want to make, and that's what I tried to tell the students when I've come and spoken in the past. I think this is like the 4th time Professor Jeff's let me come in and talk to the students, and each time it's different. But the same goal is always coming to mind. So for me, I can, as a sales rep on a commission type basis, I can make as much as I want. It's as much as I put in, it's as hard as I work. It's not like doing a job, I don't mean to say disrespect, you're a professor. You can only make what you're gonna make. So you have to figure out what that comfort level is for you in regards to what you wanna make. For me, I'm driven in a different area, and that's okay. Not everybody can do what I do. That's why what Professor says makes sense. You need to make sure that you're finding what you want to do with your life, and make sure it's exactly at the comfort level you want to do. But it's okay to be uncomfortable. Am I making sense with things? Because there was many times with my sales job that I was really uncomfortable with things because it was just trying to learn everything and try and understand everything, and I was not a perfect salesman by no stretch of the imagination. But the one thing that I did find out is answering the call. Answering the call, whether it was at 7 o'clock in the morning or 11 o'clock at night. And money, from my perspective, Jorge, was a generating factor in regards to how hard I wanted to work. Because if I didn't work hard, I wouldn't make as much because I was on commission. Anybody who has a full commission job will understand exactly what I'm talking about. When you're making full commission, meaning if you don't sell anything, you don't make anything, it will make you hungry. And I think that it's not a bad thing to make you hungry because it gives you that resilience that you need every single day. I'm not a pushy salesman. But at the same time, I want people to buy from me.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's important that they realize how important being on a full commission type, because it's not for everybody, because there's different types of sales jobs that you can have. You can have a salary plus commission, you can have a full commission job, or you can have no commission, and it's just a sales rep, and you get what you get.
Yeah, with a fixed salary.
With a fixed salary.
Yeah.
And so there's different avenues you can take, whatever you're comfortable with. I knew that it took time for me to get comfortable with that. So like when I was in high school, I had no idea that I was going to be a sales rep. I dated a gal from Purdue, and I went down to Purdue, to meet up with her, and she was looking for jobs because she was a salesperson. She wanted to be a salesperson. And it was kind of ironic. I started looking up stuff. I needed a degree on some of these things, and it was kind of frustrating for me at 22. That's why today is a different scenario, because now I'm 63 almost.
Yeah.
When I was 21, 22 years old, yeah, I needed the degree. But I think it's a little bit different in today's society. I don't know, I'll have to feel it out. The young people will have to feel it out.
Even though you don't have a degree, you've been very successful, and that's something that you need to transmit to people, because it's true that most people go to college, but you don't necessarily need to go to college to be successful.
Yeah, the guy from Microsoft, never. I think he had one. I think he had 1 year
Mark
of college.
Zuckerberg, all these people.
Yeah. I think there's a couple other ones. I can mention the Wendy's that was started here.
Dave Thomas.
Dave Thomas. He never made it past the 8th grade. So there's ways to do it. It's just a harder way to do it. And I guess if you were Dave Thomas, you made the money he made, I guess, on the Wendy's chain. Yeah. I guess it's not as bad as it looks. But it all does come down to hard work.
Yeah.
I think Tom made a good point earlier. It's okay to get a B. It's okay to get a C. But the key thing is you have to learn from that, and you have to move on. Tom mentioned, things don't always go the way you want them to, and you're going to find out that to be very true. in your years of your professional career and when you leave the university. You're going to feel defeated. You're going to feel like you're at the end of a cul-de-sac. But you got to find your way forward, and you have to learn from your mistakes, and you have to do your very best. No one is going to pay top dollar for somebody that gives 100%. You have to excel. You got to give 150%, and you have to make it happen. And you have to be the one that everybody knows is making a difference, whether it's in sales or whether it's in politics or whether it's in corporate America. Well, whatever your pursuit and your passion is, you have to be the top performer.
That's a great answer, and thanks for all the information that you're giving to all these people. Write them down, listen to these people, because if you listen and pay attention and act, you're gonna be successful too. Let's move on to the next question. I know you both have talked about these, but I want to know what skills have you all achieved along the way that you both would tell a young person are essential to succeed in a company.
I think number one,
and list them, please, so they know.
Number one, when you leave the university or you finish your education, whether it's high school, an associate's, college, or a master's program or a PhD program, is you have to realize that you're not done learning, and that for the rest of your life you're going to continue to learn. That's a very important skill, is that you have that ability to learn, and that's what college demonstrates, is that at the university for 4 years that you applied yourself and that you learned how to learn. And secondly, I think the skill that you have to develop is you have to learn how to deal with people. And Tom talked a lot about that earlier when he referenced marketing yourself. Is you have to be able to make that connection with people and to get along with people. And you have to be able to be part of a team and to be able to manage a team. And in many cases, put yourself second and put the team first. And if the team's successful, you will be successful.
Yeah, and the other thing you want to do, I'll piggyback off what you're saying, is you really want to piggyback off of your team. Don't sit there and think you have to do this all by yourself. That's the one thing that I always loved about being in a sales organization like I was. I could call any of the guys and gals that were on my team. There was 8 of us in one district, and I could call any of them. And they had I guess what I'm trying to say is they had the knowledge on a certain item or certain type of product or whatever that I wasn't as comfortable with. And I think that that's what you need to utilize your strengths in. Don't be afraid to contact other people and ask the questions, because you're gonna be really good in 1 or 2 things. And I was really good in center of the plate, because I grew up as a meat cutter, and that was my trade. So I knew everything about center of the plate. But as Professor spoke, you never want to stop learning. And I knew that once I was done with high school, I said to myself, oh man, I don't have to go and take another test anymore. I don't have to worry about this anymore. But when I was with US Foods, I had to test every single month on something. They would test me on my knowledge of the products. They would test me on the knowledge of how to sell the products. They'd test me on the knowledge of understanding the products. And so you will never stop learning, and you don't want to stop learning. And I think that that's the one thing that is so amazing about our life. Once we stop learning, we're going to die. It was kind of what my father used to say. When you stop fertilizing and watering the plant, what happens to it? It dies. So give yourself as much information as you can handle. But I do want you to know this much. I am not afraid of vacations. I'm not afraid of breaks, and I'm not afraid of just stopping. But you have to make sure that once you stop, that you've re-energized your body to move and go forward again. Because it's so important that these people, everybody's depending on you. And that's what you want. You want the people to lean on you and depend on you. Because if they're not leaning on you and not depending on you, they're going to lean on or depend on somebody else. And you're not going to be the one that's going to get the order. So that's why I always took the phone calls at 7 in the morning, at midnight, 11 o'clock in the evening, because I wanted that customer to know that they could depend on Tom Didier. That's how you get ahead in this world, because I'm the one answering the phone. If the other guy would have answered the phone, or the gal would have answered the phone, they would have gotten the business. You have to make sure that you're always on top of the game. And I think that that's the biggest key that I can give to the first, second, and third, if you're looking at it from that perspective.
I think that's a really good point, Tom, is that you have to take care of yourself. You got to take that break every now and then, and just refill the cup and be able to give that 150%. And that's something that back when Tom and I were growing up, that we didn't talk about a lot openly, and that was mental health. And you got to take care of yourself in your mental health and your physical health, so you can be a top performer and be at your very best. And that comes first, is your health. You got to make sure you take care of that.
Yeah, talking about health and what you both think is most important, because I know that you mentioned that money is important, your job is important, because at the end of the day it's what you're gonna be doing 1/3 of your life. But let me ask you both, after a long career where you've both managed to be very successful financially, how you guys define success, or what is success for you both?
I think one thing, and I think Tom's going to share something very similar, is that you have to be in a situation where you're happy. You have to have a partner that's your soulmate, the person that you're meant to be with, and that you have to reach a level of financial independence where it allows you to do what you really want to do. Tom and I have both retired, but we're not retired. We've retired from one career, and we've transitioned into other careers. And that is a level of success, I think, for both of us, and that now we can do and spend our energy and time on the things that we choose. Now, we both choose to get up early in the morning and make things happen every day and make a difference. But that's our choice, and we're going to keep on doing that. And I really think that's important. You don't retire and move to the lake and sit in the recliner all day. I'm not interested in that type of retirement, and I know Tom isn't either, because he's got, like me, just plenty of energy, and he's out there every day making things happen and working with people and making things better in the world.
Yeah, I was just recently watching a video, and I've seen this video before, and maybe you have too, on social media, since this is what everybody does now. But I really want people to understand that God is really my first and foremost, my most important aspect, and then my family, and then my job, and we go from there. But I was watching this professor, and he basically took a jar and he put like 9 golf balls in it, and these were the golf balls, and they fit in the jar, and they asked the students, was this full? And all the students said yes, it was full, and that was all the things that you do, all the real important things that you do in life. And then he threw a bunch of rocks, and small pebbles in there, and he showed it to the students again, and he said, well, what do you think? Do you think it's full? And they said, well, yeah, it's full. And those are kind of like all the incidental things that you do throughout the day, and they have somewhat of importance, but they're not all the important things. And then he took a cup of sand and he threw it in there, and he says, now, is it full? And they all said, yes, it's definitely full. And he says, these are all the minute, small little things that we get upset about on a daily basis. They don't mean a hill of beans. I've realized that now after, I ran for mayor and I didn't win. And I was on city council for 20 years. And there was an importance and a level of importance that happened with certain things. And then there was other portions of it that were not as important. And then the sand was a lot of it, because we create all this strife in our lives when we can make it a lot simpler by just realizing and taking care of the 3 top things, which is God, your family, and your job. And if you do it in that order, you'll be successful in the money that you make. That's my personal opinion. So if I have any advice for you, that's why I've been so successful in regards to marketing myself and doing all the things that I've done. I've kind of created a monster in some ways just because I can't go anywhere. And that's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. I have no privacy. But it's okay.
What you're saying is, Tom, when we walk in a restaurant for lunch every day, there's a lot of people that
There's going to be people
will say hi to Tom Diddy.
They'll say hi to me.
Yeah, we find that to be the case.
Yes, we do, and I'm sure you do with other students. My brother Phil was a teacher, so it's like after 40 years of teaching, he was the same type of situation.
Yeah.
You build a marketing. I'm telling you, life is about sales and marketing. It's that easy.
Yeah, and your network as well, as you mentioned before. Last question for you both, because I'm sure it's going to be very useful for all the people. I know that some people don't like to read, but I'm sure that many others do. Can you tell them a book that you found very useful in your lives? A book that has changed your lives and that you would recommend to all these people?
I think most importantly for me, it starts with the Word of God, the Bible. Now, if we want to talk about a business book, I think the book I would recommend to students would be a book by the name of Principles. It was written by Ray Diallo, who's the founder and now the mentor of executives at a very successful hedge fund by the name of Bridgewater. The book Principles is an excellent book to take a look at.
Yeah, I would agree with him. The one book that I probably read the most is the Bible, and I find that it gives me everything that I absolutely need. The other book that I've read is, I like to read books about autobiographies, and one of my favorite books that I ever read was the life of Walter Payton, and it's called Sweetness. And it just gives a story about, my favorite football player, Walter Payton from the Chicago Bears. And if you read the book, you'll see the humbleness of his beginnings in Jackson, Mississippi. So I think that, if you like that kind of, I like to read about autobiographies or life issues of that nature. It tends to bring me into the story because there's some simplicities that go along with the books that I think about with my own childhood. So, and where I went and how I've grown, because the only one that's really going to care in the end of this whole story is God. So I really look at it from that perspective. And I know I talked a lot about God on your podcast, but I just personally believe it's for me, I'm a very faith-based oriented type person, and not everybody is. And I don't know how people make it through the day without it, but I know that I couldn't. And that's probably why the Bible is the most important thing. But I love the book Sweetness. If you ever want to read it, it's a pretty long book. Walter Payton's life was pretty interesting, but it's a great book.
That's it. Is there any other thing or things that you want to mention to the people that are listening to us?
Just set your alarm clock.
Well, thank you both for being here in the first podcast. There are gonna be more, so please like the video. Tell us in the comments below what you think about the podcast, about the information that these two people have given, and your thoughts. And see you in the next podcast.